because we have so many different influences, and I think we would just get bored if it was just like heavy, 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 or like all melodic. We have to have the good mixture of that.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com. I'm super stoked to be joined by Krista of Lutharo. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty great. Early midweek. Is it midweek? I don't know what day it is, but
yeah, right. I'm feeling the same way.
it's a day that ends in Y. They all kind of run together now ever since the last few years. But we are on the eve of your new record, Chasing Euphoria. Super excited, coming out on Atomic Fire Records, the excellent record label, and so much stuff going on, so many new things to unpack and uncover and talk about this awesome album. I've been pretty stoked, following the band for quite a while, a couple of years. And first things first, I just wanted to kind of reel it back for our audience that may not be too familiar with what is like the origin story of how the band formed, first of all.
So the band started back in high school. Victor started it with our original drummer, Zach, and our original bass player, Mike. And I was going to that high school for like a semester for musical theater or like just some program. And they were looking for a female vocalist specifically. They were really into Arch Enemy and Nightwish and stuff. And they're like, we really like that sound and we want like a female voice. So they ended up finding me at high school through that program. And then basically ever since I joined, it became like very serious, and there's been 1,000 different member changes and everything. But yeah, basically it started back in high school and it's been a bunch of turmoil and everything until now.
Like every band's story, basically. I love that you were a musical theater kid. That's amazing. I was too.
Yes.
I also saw the crossover between, like, I was like, there's no difference between like a Broadway show and Queen and Led Zeppelin. But my teachers were like,
it's so true.
My teachers were shitting on that dream the whole way, and I didn't let them, but I ran with that we ran it back hard for like 10, 12 years, where I was like, these things are equal, and nobody would listen to me.
Well, even looking at an Iron Maiden show, like Bruce Dickinson is so theatrical on stage, and like the whole production, everything it's theater, So it's very true. The two go hand in hand.
I agree. Thank you. And thank you for validating me in the first minute or two of the interview. I really appreciate it. Halford has said that when he, Priest kind of slows down, he's not adverse to doing Broadway. He wants to do Phantom and he wants to do things. So could you imagine?
That gave me chills, honestly, because Phantom of the Opera is like one of my all-time favorites. When I was little, I was obsessed with it. I still am. So yeah, to hear that is so cool, and he would absolutely kill it. He's got insane range.
Right. And he can definitely carry it off. And I got to see Sebastian Bach do Phantom in New York when I was coming up. And he was great, and he should do more of that also. And but yeah, that's all. It totally tracks now that I think about that. Like your range, your expressiveness vocally, but also your band has, it's between you, and the backups there, super sick vocals also. So I like that it's this really beautiful blend of melodicism, but the grit that like a lot of modern fans feel like they have to have. But like you guys, it doesn't feel like pressured or forced. It feels like very natural for the band to do this.
Yeah, I think like that's kind of like our thing now, is mixing almost like the beauty and the beast, so to say, because we have so many different influences, and I think we would just get bored if it was just like heavy, 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 or like all melodic. We have to have the good mixture of that.
I don't know if you're a big Epica fan. I am. And
Go on. It's okay.
No, I was going to say early in their career, when they were trying to kind of break in here, their first few tours, they would give Simone like a break, and they would do like a Death cover or a Gorguts cover, because they can really play, they have death metal side projects, and they're master musicians. So it's fun that like they do this wonderful symphonic metal, and then Simone would kind of take a breather for a song, and they would play like this extreme metal covers, and then she'd come back.
Sure.
So it's fun.
I never knew that. That's really cool.
I'm sure they probably want to not remember that, or but maybe she needed a break. I know they even back then they were doing like reams of shows in a row, which is really, it can be hard on you as a performer. Oh, yeah. So I love I love Simone. I'm a big fan. But yeah, Chasing Euphoria, what a killer record. And I know this has been the culmination of a lot of work. So what's the timeline in terms of the last release to now, in terms of like this finally being ready to release this thing? What was like the timeline like for writing and recording?
We honestly had the entire thing done, and I think it was like 2 or 3 months. We had ideas previous to like getting really serious with writing. Like we had stuff like kind of on the back burner and ideas and like just random demos of things that like we kind of put together. But the core chunk of it was done within like basically like 3 months. Everything was finalized. And even still, we were finalizing things in the studio on the fly. Like there were songs that were completely written in the studio, basically. And yeah, so the record was probably the quickest one we've ever like recorded, written, all that stuff. Usually we take our time, and yeah, it's insane because it's probably the most detailed record we have. But yeah, it was like a couple months and done.
That's really impressive because it's very, it's very deep and it's very layered and there's no skips on it. At least for me, I listened to it a few times all the way through. I was like, I wouldn't kick any of these children off the island. I love all of these.
Aw, thank you.
It's hard to self-edit when you're so close to your own music. I was that way for a long time. And I saw that you guys recorded in Cori's studio. I don't know if you self-produced this or you had outside help.
Nope, it was all done by ourselves. We basically went to like outside sources to be like, what songs do you like the most? Like, because we had our ideas for singles and stuff and like what we wanted to do, but we wanted to know like, hey, are we just favoring these songs or are they actually like, single worthy? So I say that was basically the only outside help we had. Other than that, it was all us.
Right on. It's such a weird time because you hear over and over that it's, even for rock and metal, that it's such a singles driven music world right now with the streaming services. But at the same time, I'm still an albums person. So I want to hear the whole album. I buy the vinyl. I want to sit with it and take it in and drink my cup of tea and listen to my metal in my house. And, it's tough. I think, you don't want to say like, oh, I have to commoditize this thing, but it is the business and you are trying to sell records and get playlists and get things out there. So I know it can be kind of maybe a little bit of a conflict for sometimes. For
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of the times, like what we did was we made music videos for like half of our album. Like we had a bajillion different singles, and that was our way of getting people to listen to most of the album. Because like you said, most people will just listen to singles or whatever, and they won't actually give the whole album a chance, So that was kind of our way of being like here and like throwing it in people's faces so that they want to listen to the rest of it. Yeah.
That's a wise way to go. I think videos still, I know they're costly and they take time, right? But I still feel like the music video, maybe we don't have MTV playing videos, but we don't have Headbangers Ball, but I feel like the music video is a great, serves a good purpose still to this day. I know people are like, oh, I don't know if I need one. I was like, I kind of feel like you do need some of them.
Yeah, people like visuals for things. And people like to know without like going too deep into lyrics or anything, like what the song's about, or mostly they like visuals. They need something to like keep them focused, because people have a very short attention span nowadays. So yeah, having the visual aspect is a huge help.
That is so true. So true. Also I really like how, again, like I think the album has like a really nice sequencing, like a really great journey. Again, being an albums guy, I favor a whole experience as opposed to like, well, we put all the good songs at the front, like we stacked it with these top tracks. And sometimes it happens that way, right? And sometimes they write themselves that way also. I think that's also a thing. Bands used to just kind of put out a record like, oh, that's the first song we wrote, that's the second song we wrote, that's the third song we wrote, that's the eighth song. And I do feel like it's really cool that it seems like it was a very thoughtful and purposeful journey for this record to make it for the listener,
For sure. Like we're not a huge like crazy concept album band where like everything has to tell a story down to the T with characters and everything, but we did want everything to flow well. And because we wrote this in such a short period of time, everything that I wrote about, I was going like it just kind of works together because I was going through the same stuff the whole time, you know, so it wasn't like picking from like different parts of my life. It was like this big thing that I was dealing with all at once ended up being like the core subject.
All right. Maybe a little personal, more personal than the last one, possibly.
Very personal. Yes.
Well, I hope whatever it is, you're through it now and the music maybe helped you get through it. That's always a plus if you have that outlet. Some people don't. You know, I often say it's okay not to be okay. We were putting up a front for many years, like the whole human race. Like, we're okay. No, we're not okay. Everything's on fire and everything's okay to it's okay to feel bad, and tomorrow might be better, hopefully. So it's good that you can talk about it. I'm a big fan of talking about it here. Yes. Before we jump into the record, one other thing I did want to shout out and not forget is this amazing artwork. It's you know, we're in a very weird time where like AI art is becoming a big deal and people are very divided about it. But I like this like, first, beside the very classic logo font you guys have, I love this artwork. It's really cool. I bet it looks terrific on a vinyl.
Oh yeah, we're going to be receiving the vinyl soon, and I cannot wait to, like, obviously I've seen the artwork on my phone and stuff and digitally, but I cannot wait to like hold the vinyl and look at the artwork that way and then see even more detail in it. Like, I'm probably just going to bawl my eyes out because it's like my most favorite artwork we've ever had. The second I seen it, I was like, that's it. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care what we have to do. That is the artwork.
Right on. And shout out to, you know, Atomic Fire veterans coming over from another label. And now with their partnership with Reigning Phoenix Music, also, they know how to do merch. They know how to do exquisite vinyl. I've bought quite a few things already from Atomic Fire. So I know this thing is going to be chef's kiss when it comes out of the, you know, the cardboard.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Amazing. Let's do a little track by track. And as I said before we started, anything you feel like sharing, I love to put the artist into the interview a little more. I know what I think already. I listened to this thing a bunch of times. I love the record, but I want to hear from you a little bit of insight that maybe our listeners and watchers will appreciate.
All right.
So let's see how it goes. I had the track listing handy, and then I scrolled away. The album opens up, because I don't want to mess it up, you know. The album opens up with Gates of Enchantment.
Okay. So that one actually was created by Elliot from Maelstrom. He's done all of our orchestration, all that stuff. So we basically told him, like, hey, Reaper's Call is going to be the first song in the album. Can you construct a like opening track around that's going to flow nicely into that? Here's the idea, or like the vibe we kind of want to set. Run Free. So yeah, he created that whole thing, and we actually created the title for that track as a band in the jam room because we couldn't come up with a title for it. We're just like, it needs to be something like enchanted, and like, well, I mean, our name Lutharo means the enchanter in Elvish. So it was kind of like a little hint at that too. We thought it was silly.
I'm not going to tell you how I knew that, but I knew that already secretly. And, you know, nerds, we stick together, and all the fantasy nerds, we rule. It's a great table setter for the next track to open the album. It's very cool. So
Thank
obviously, Reaper's Call is next.
So Reaper's Call. Ooh, that song was written a lot earlier than most of them. It was one of the first songs we created. And that song, I don't even know where to begin with that one. It's it has a lot of layers to it. That one is basically just about like finding something in your life that makes you feel alive, like, or like putting yourself in like scary, crappy, adrenaline inducing situations to make you feel something, because you just feel so like caught in this mundane cycle. So you kind of just like, I don't know, do like all these reckless things to make yourself feel alive. And one of those things was like drinking, and it covered a lot of like alcoholism and stuff in it. And making that video, I thought it was hilarious because the place that we filmed it, the tunnels that I'm running through with the wine bottle, back in the day, they used to use those tunnels to smuggle alcohol during Prohibition. And I didn't know that until I was like, oh, I really want to film in this hallway for this part with the wine bottle and blah, blah. And they told me that. And I was like, that is hilarious. Yeah.
Coincidences happen for a reason. And
right?
sometimes. And yeah, it's a killer video. It's a very good track. And it's got a story to it. There it is. We've all been there. I love this next title and song. It's so evocative. Ruthless Bloodline.
Ruthless Bloodline. Oh my goodness. I love this one. I remember writing the chorus to this one. The guys had come up with like the catchy ass chorus on the guitar. And I was sitting in the jam room with them and I made them stop everything. And I was just like, I have a chorus and you just have to stick with me on this one. And I remember using Ailstorm lyrics to have like a placeholder for my words so I could do the melody. So I like laid that down. And at first they were like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then it just grew on them because they're like, oh shit, this actually really works. Like it's a counter melody, but it works. When I wrote that song, I was so angry. I was so mad. And it doesn't sound like that from like the chorus. I feel like the rest of the song is, but I think like with that song, I was just so fed up with having to like water myself down in so many situations because I'm not like a really extroverted person, but I am not the type of person who likes to beat around the bush. I'm really blunt and I say things like it is. And I don't really mind sharing things about myself. I like don't easily embarrass in that way, but like a lot of people make me feel as though I'm supposed to be ashamed by saying things that are blunt, and I'm just like being myself. So I did really relate that a lot to like having symptoms of ADHD as well. There is like a lot of that, like me finding out like I'm probably on that spectrum in that way. And then there's a lot of hidden things in that song that I wrote about that I didn't even realize connected so heavily to ADHD and masking and neurodivergency and all that stuff, even as far as the lyrics go, that connection. So there's a lot in these songs. Like I could go on and on. That's like pieces you can just unravel in these songs that come out. But yeah, I'll keep it there.
Right, fair enough. I can highly recommend the awesome ADHD podcast Faster Than Normal, in which your ADHD is not it's not debilitating, it's a superpower and you figure out how to manage. And I don't think I'm classically there, but like I'm my friend does the podcast, so I like to plug it when I can. It's super helpful even to me.
For sure. Of course, I love that.
Yeah, good stuff. The next track is Time to Rise.
Time to Rise was extremely out of my comfort zone. Especially like I wanted to have a song that was more like softer singing and what's the word I'm looking for? Like more acoustic sounding, I guess. But it was really hard for me to do vocals like that because it's completely like it's weird for me, and I was worried that people are gonna be like, oh, that's so soft, it's not metal. But then I quickly was like, screw that. Yeah, that one was weird to write because it was hard for us to come up with the transitions going from the soft to the heavy and making it fit smoothly. So that one took us a while to figure out. And that one is one of the more personal ones on the album. I mean, everything is, but that one especially like hit me very hard. I actually ended up doing the last part on the album where it's just me and the orchestration. I sang that whole part a cappella with no click, no music, no nothing. It was just that. And we kind of made it around that. So that was kind of interesting too. So yeah.
Nice. Success happens when you push yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes.
Yes.
I like this next track, especially the title could almost feels like it should be a heavy metal, like a Saxon song. Born to Ride is the
Born to Ride. Oh my goodness. This one was one that we created earlier on too. It's an older one. And it was weird for us because I feel like this song is more of just like a straight up heavy metal vibe where we love that style of music, but I feel like it's the one that kind of stands out on the album because it is just like typical, like heavy metal, like old school heavy metal. But it's really fun, that one. It's nice. It's like when we play that one live, it's a lot of fun. The music video was probably the most fun to shoot with like the go-karts and everything. So it's kind of like our more lighthearted song, but not really lighthearted when you listen to the lyric. But yeah.
Lighthearted compared to everything else, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Then I like the next track also, Bonded to the Blade. I like these inspiring titles.
Bonded to the Blade. That one also I feel like sticks out a lot too, because it's very like insiht sounding, which is like something like that genre of metal, that like kind of Celtic pagany kind of melodic death metal is something that we all really, really like. And so that one we were actually considering as a single, but it got overridden, I guess, by Chasing Euphoria because it's the title track. But yeah, we were considering that one as one of the singles, and yeah, we just kept comparing it to insiht and everything. And that one is just about like when you have this gut feeling that you're made to do something or you have to do something, then no matter what you do in your life, you're always going to reach that. And like it's like this calling, and like you're just, yeah, it's in your path and it's never going to miss you, kind of thing.
Well, I like that. It's a little philosophical there. Very, very cool. Of course, as you mentioned, the title track is the next song, Chasing Euphoria.
Chasing Euphoria. This is another deep one for me because it's just about like chasing the feeling of being alive, like whatever that is to you or however that like presents in your life. For me, I feel like my biggest moment of feeling alive and like feeling present in the moment is when I'm on stage, or like at concerts or something. When I'm surrounded by music, that's when I feel like that is euphoria, that is bliss, that is home, that feels like it makes me feel like a person and not just like someone walking around like not paying attention to anything and just kind of in this mundane cycle once again. So it's basically talking about emulating that feeling with other things when you're not on tour or whatever is happening in your life. You kind of, yeah, you do something that's, I don't know, you drink or you party or you do something that requires a lot of endurance, or, you know what I mean? Like you're just trying to emulate that feeling of feeling alive and chasing that feeling constantly.
I can dig it. I can dig it. The next track is Creating a King.
Creating a King. This is one of my absolute favorites. I love that chorus. Oh my goodness. And it's so funny because that chorus was inspired by like a Destiny's Child song, basically. Like, especially That's Okay is like very like like early 2000s R&B or like pop song, because I love that music. And so it's kind of funny that I use all that and throw it into a metal thing or a metal song or whatever. But like I said, I'm inspired by so many different things. And yeah, like I kind of feel like it makes things fresh to add like other things that don't belong and make them belong. But yeah, that song is about knowing your worth. And when people know your worth, they try to bring you down. And I kind of related the video to like the witch trials in a sense, because like this guy who led the witch trials, he knew women's worth, he knew their connection was stronger to the earth and to the cycle of the earth, and they could give birth and like were midwives and all these things. And so he was obviously threatened by that power and tried to make them seem as though they didn't actually have that power and like tried to take them down. Right. So I feel that connects to my life in so many ways, where people will see like the success that we get, even if it's like so small, and try to knock us down like however many notches, you know.
Amazing. Weirdly, Destiny's Child came up in a conversation for me earlier today. So now I have to ask the question, Beyonce, Michelle, or Kelly?
I would say like all of them individually, I'm not a fan of. That's terrible to say, but them as a group, I love it. But individually, I don't know. Maybe Kelly, I think.
I was going to say I'm a Kelly person myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Kelly.
No disrespect, but it's just like, and really not my go-to couple of genres, but good, good for the time. Strong Enough to Fall is the next track.
Strong Enough to Fall. I feel like this track is very like Dark Tranquility-esque, and it has a lot of like atmospheric aspects to it. And it's a little bit softer. It sounds like pretty. It sounds like sparkly to me. I don't know why. But this one is about basically giving it your all to whatever it is you're passionate about in your life, and just being strong enough to know that you may fail at it and being able to accept that. Yeah.
I feel that very deeply. And that's also one of my favorite tracks, actually, I have to say. If I had to pull out one, I have a podcast where we rate albums and such, and we always talk about albums having a soft underbelly where there's a couple of weak songs, but these later albums tracks are just as good as the first bunch. So like I said, it's really strong all the way through. The interestingly titled but excellent song, of course, Paradise or Parasite is next.
So I got the idea for this one because I watch every so often a girl who does tarot readings on YouTube. And I'm a Capricorn, so I was watching the Capricorn one. And the title of it was Paradise or Parasite. And what she went into talking about, I was like, oh, damn, I really like that. And it was just basically about trusting people and how, like, when you turn your back, who's going to be the person that doesn't talk shit behind your back, basically. Like, who can you actually trust? Who is going to be like your paradise, so to say, like your safe place, or who's going to be the parasite who like feeds off of you? I remember watching, I think it was House of Dragon, where I actually got one of the lines from, and the king is like super sick and his crown falls off of his head, and the daughter immediately goes and puts it back on his head. And I'm just like, okay, so who are the people in my life who are going to put the crown back on my head, and who are the ones that are going to sit there and wait for my downfall and watch it? You know,
very deep. I just heard we are getting the next season of House of the Dragon sooner than later.
Yeah, that's exciting. I love that show.
let's effing go. I'm ready for more drama. All the kids are going to kill each other on dragons. It's crazy.
Oh God.
Good times. Good time. Going to be a lot of emotional shit in the next season. Freedom of the Night is the final track of the album. It's lengthy and it's epic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we like to end with like an epic one, like a nice long epic song every album. This one was extremely hard for me to write. It took me so long to write the lyrics for this because every time I would write it, I felt like physically weak, like my knees would like go weak, and I was just like, this is very hard for me to talk about. And it's kind of like the ending to Wings of Agony for me. It's like the way that I see Wings of Agony ending, but I didn't have the guts to talk about before. And that one was written basically fully in the studio. So that was a lot of trial and error. And like everything that I wrote, the guys hadn't heard before. I just kind of brought it in, and they heard it right when I brought it in the studio. And we're just like, okay, this is cool. Let's do this, blah, blah, blah. So I had no idea what anybody thought of what I was doing before then. It was just all so quickly in there and created like on the fly.
Amazing. Thank you for unpacking all that for us. Not always easy to talk about your art or all the things and associate everything. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I always like to end these interviews with a little bit of a wild card question. I pick a special one out for every single person, every interviewee. And the one I have for you is you're hosting a dinner party and you can invite any 3 people you want in the world, living, dead, famous, not famous, whoever you want. Who would you invite and what would you serve?
I would invite Angela Gasso, Tony Iommi, and I don't know, probably like my dad so he can experience it too. No, I don't know.
That's amazing.
Those would be my like top 2, but yeah, that would be pretty cool.
And what's the menu like?
Do they have to like it, or is it just for me?
I mean, what do you cook? If not, what would you serve? Who would you bring in? What would you cater the event?
I'm an awful cook. So yeah, it would have to be catered. I don't know. That's a hard one. Like, cause I mean, my taste buds are weird. So, I mean, I could go anywhere from feeding them to like sour candies to Cheetos to like, oh, let's have like, I think maybe like a Vietnamese like meal would be good, like a noodle dish or something. That's one of my favorite types of food.
Cannot go wrong with some pho if you know your Vietnamese
oh my
food.
God. So good, yeah.
A little spicy soup there for you.
Yes.
Krista, you rule so much. Thank you so much for this interview. Thanks for sharing everything with us. I really appreciate you. Chasing Euphoria is coming out on the Ides of March, March 15th from Atomic Fire Records. Beware the Ides of March and people carrying knives behind their backs. But Krista, you rule. Thanks for hanging with Ghost Cult. We appreciate you.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much. See you.